In the heart of the mountains, surrounded by forests and silent valleys, lay a small forgotten village called Norabad. Ironically, Nor meant light, but Norabad had none. Electricity reached the village only for an hour or two each night. After that, the entire valley drowned in darkness, a darkness so deep that even the stars seemed afraid to shine. Children studied under candles, old people prayed under oil lamps, and when the flames died, silence ruled the night. But in one corner of the village, in a small mud house with a tin roof, lived a boy who couldn't sleep in the dark. His name was Arif, 13 years old, thin, curious, and full of impossible dreams. When the world turned black each night, Arif's world came alive. He would sit by the window with pieces of paper, scissors, and glue, making small 5-pointed stars. He stuck them on his walls, hung them on strings, and called them his paper stars. When moonlight passed through them, they glowed faintly, not bright enough to light the room, but bright enough to light his heart. One winter night, his grandmother Daddy told him stories beside the dim oil lamp. Her voice trembled with age but carried warmth. Greater than, when I was young, Arif, this sky was full of stars. You could see thousands glittering above. Now even they hide behind clouds. Arif looked up through the window. The sky was dark, empty, almost sad. He whispered softly, greater than, then I'll bring them back. Daddy. Daddy chuckled, greater than, how will you do that, my little scientist? You don't even have electricity. Arif smiled, greater than, maybe I'll make stars that don't need it. Daddy patted his head lovingly, greater than, then may your stars shine brighter than the real ones. And with that simple promise, a dream was born. Shooting star. The next morning, Arif began collecting what others threw away. Broken bulbs, burnt wires, plastic bottles, and old batteries. The villagers laughed at him. Greater than, Arif, you'll never make light from trash. But Arif didn't listen. He filled his school bag with junk, his eyes sparkling with ideas. In the evenings, after finishing homework, he sat outside the house with his small toolkit, an old screwdriver, pliers, and a roll of tape. He opened the bulbs, cleaned the glass, stripped the wires, and studied old books borrowed from his school's science shelf. Days passed. His hands became rough, his clothes stained with grease. But one evening, after many failures, something magical happened. He connected a battery to a small LED he had salvaged. The bulb flickered, then glowed steadily. His heart jumped. He shouted, greater than, Daddy, Daddy, come fast. Daddy came rushing with her shawl. Arif pointed to the tiny glowing light inside a folded paper star. Daddy's wrinkled face softened. Her eyes sparkled with tears. Greater than, you've caught a star, Beta. That night, they didn't need the oil lamp. The little paper star glowed bright enough for both of them to smile beneath it. Every winter, Norabad celebrated its small festival called Nor Utsav, the Festival of Light. People lit candles and diyas, prayed for prosperity, and shared sweets. That year, Arif wanted to do something unforgettable. He spent weeks creating 20 glowing paper stars, using bottles, wires, and recycled bits of glass to reflect light. He hung them all around the village square, across trees, poles, rooftops, and fences. Each was powered by a tiny battery wrapped in silver foil to reflect brightness. When the festival night came, hundreds gathered. Arif stood near the switch, a small wire tied to a cracked wooden plank. People whispered, greater than, this won't work. He's just a boy playing with toys. Arif's hands trembled, but he looked at Daddy standing in the crowd, smiling at him with faith. He closed his eyes and connected the wire. For a moment, nothing, and then, sparkles light burst across the darkness. One by one, the paper stars flickered, then shone, blue, yellow, red, green, white, filling the village with color and wonder. The crowd gasped. Children screamed with joy. The square that was once pitch dark now looked like the night sky had come down to earth. Daddy whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks, greater than, you did it, Arif. You brought back the stars. Arif smiled softly and said, greater than, no, Daddy, I just reminded them how to shine. The next morning, the village headman visited Arif's house. He said kindly, greater than, you've made something beautiful, son, but these lights will die soon. If only they could shine every night. Arif nodded. That became his new mission. He started studying solar energy, how sunlight could become power. He collected old CD discs and mirror pieces to create makeshift solar panels. He even took apart his school's broken calculator to understand solar cells. Days became weeks. He failed many times. Batteries exploded, wires burnt, circuits melted, but every failure taught him something new. Finally, after After weeks of work, he built a system that could store sunlight in old phone batteries. That night, when the sun went down, his paper stars lit up automatically. They glowed brighter, longer, and cleaner than ever before. He shouted, "Greater than, Daddy, look, the stars don't sleep anymore." Daddy hugged him tightly, crying with pride. "Greater than, you've taught the night how to shine, my child." A few days later, a teacher visiting from the nearby town saw Arif's glowing village at night. Amazed, she clicked photos and wrote an article titled, "Greater than, the boy who brought stars back to the sky." The story went viral. Newspapers, magazines, and even television channels came to Noorabad. Reporters interviewed Arif, calling him the little scientist. People from cities donated solar kits, engineers offered training, and soon every home in Noorabad had paper stars glowing outside. For the first time, the village lived up to its name, Noorabad, the place of light. Shooting star. Years passed. Arif grew up, studied engineering, and became an inventor of low-cost solar devices. He created affordable kits to help poor families light their homes using sunlight and recycled materials. He named his organization Terra Foundation, Terra meaning star. It helped thousands of villages across India escape darkness. But every year, on the night of Noor Utsav, Arif returned to his village. He stood in the same square where he once hung paper stars. The lights still glowed, a bit faded, but still alive. He looked up at the sky and whispered, "Greater than, you don't need to wait for stars to shine. You can build your own." Daddy's old chair still sat near their window. Though she was gone, Arif felt her presence every time the stars flickered. And that night, as he looked at the glowing paper stars dancing in the wind, it felt as if the entire universe was smiling back at him. Greater than, you don't need power to create light, only courage, creativity, and heart. Even the smallest spark of hope can turn darkness into a sky full of stars. Milky Way sparkles.